Welcome to the Kind Leader Podcast, where empathy meets action in the world of leadership. Your host, Gino Degregori, engages with innovators and seasoned professionals from diverse sectors, all demonstrating the power of leading with kindness. And now, your host, Gino Degregori.
Today's guest proves that leadership grounded in kindness can thrive in every arena, from military intelligence to entrepreneurship to community service. If you ever wonder how compassion and discipline can work hand in hand, this episode is for you. Hi, I'm Gino Degregori, and welcome to the Kind Leader Podcast. Our guest today, Sean Keller, is a seasoned entrepreneur, senior executive, and retired U.S. Air Force Reserve Intelligence Officer. He's the founder and president of NM Holdings, the largest operator in the UPS store franchise in Central Florida, where he has built a reputation for revitalizing underperforming businesses. Sean's background spans government contracting, systems engineers, and intelligence analysts, but he's also a Catholic deacon serving the historic Baltimore Basilica. Super excited to have you, Sean, here on the podcast. I know I've known you for a little bit and very impressed in your success. So welcome. So to kick us off, can you please share a little bit about your journey and how just everything about you?
Sure. So thanks for having me, and I'm kind of flattered that you asked me. I think to be on the podcast. I said, I haven't risen to the level of being on Joe Rogan yet, but maybe this is a launching pad. But I'm a local guy. I grew up here in Maryland, in Central Maryland. Back in the day, it was the sticks of Howard County, small community. My dad was a drugstore owner. We all knew each other in the community, played baseball. All the churches, we all supported each other in their different fundraising things. And that's kind of where I started. And I went to Catholic school. When I was a senior in high school, I kind of learned that I just wasn't ready for college. I was actually discerning of maybe going into the religious life, and I just needed some time to continue to discern. Yeah. So I went in the U.S. Navy, was assigned to a frigate down in Norfolk, Virginia for 4 years, and continued to discern, where I was being called in life. And I met a young lady at University of Maryland. I'd been thinking about going to college. So that kind of helped incentivize my decision to separate from active duty. It's amazing how that works. Separate from active duty. And I went to the University of Maryland College Park. And at the same time, I separated from the Navy. I also transitioned over to the Maryland Air National Guard. So I went from one day from wearing a Navy uniform to wearing an Air Force uniform and trying to understand rank and everything else. But the military service was in my family, and I wanted to continue to do that. So went to college, went to College Park, got married. My wife was a career special educator, got a job in the defense industry right out of college, supporting the Department of Defense. And then everything kind of took off from there. I went to graduate school at Hopkins. My wife went to graduate school. We started a family. I continued to serve in the Air National Guard, and the opportunity presented itself to go on active duty, get commissioned as a Air Force Reserve officer. So I did that. And then I went to Intel Officer School as well. Came back, continued to serve in my role as a contractor. A lot of time, active duty, then come off either for training or for short deployments or whatever. After 9/11, I got recalled to active duty, went down to Central Command headquarters. And then after that, came back, continued to serve in my reserve role as in the Air National Guard. And then eventually I moved over to straight reserve and then retired out of the Air Force Reserve 2005. Hard to believe it's been 20 years.
Right.
And so, I was assigned to Joint Intelligence Center Pacific. I was drilling with the Marines down at Quantico. So here I was an Air Force officer with a bunch of Marines. Family continued to grow and so forth. But during this time, in my civilian world, the opportunity presented itself to start a company. So a guy I used to work with, friend of mine, also an Air Force Reserve officer, started a company called Sage Management, providing a variety of support, system engineering, software engineering, modeling support to Defense Threat Reduction Agency, and some other stuff we did as well. Grew that company, and then we took that company to market, sold that company. I did some consulting, had a period of time where I couldn't kind of be in the community, had a non-compete. Then I came back into the community and served with another company as a C-level exec. Meanwhile, on the side, I also started So I've got kind of a weird,
It's a lot of it.
life trajectory. On the other side, I have another business partner. He and I, he's a retired Army colonel, and he and I started a UPS store franchise in Orlando, Florida. So we opened up our first store, and then we had a business plan that we presented to the UPS store, the local franchisor, of growing and kind of being centralized in the Orlando area.
Mm.
And so we methodically grew the company to where we are today, where we operate 10 locations in the Orlando Metroplex. And we did that through a combination of opening new stores and acquiring existing stores and kind of turning them around and growing them. So it's kind of a combination of the two. I think right now, about half the stores are stores that we started from ground zero, to the other half are stores that we acquired and then grew. And then on the other side, finally, these three areas, I also continued, throughout my life, feeling the call to serve in a different capacity in the Roman Catholic Church. And many years ago, a priest who I was very good friends with encouraged me to consider the diaconate, which is the first level of ordained service in the church, deacon, priest, bishop. And so I went through the formation program at St. Mary's Seminary, and I was ordained in 2013 by Archbishop Lori and assigned to the Basilica in Baltimore. And in that role, I've served in the different capacities in church organization and also kind of semi-leadership for our trust that was responsible for the overall area that encompasses the Baltimore Basilica, which is the first Catholic cathedral in the United States, designed by Benjamin Latrobe, who designed U.S. Capitol. The cornerstone was laid by Archbishop John Carroll, who was the first Catholic bishop of the United States, whose cousin happened to be the only Catholic signer of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, wow.
It's a very interesting history there,
That is
and
right.
all that goes with that. So, I keep my feet, as my father used to say, the grass does not grow beneath my feet. If that makes sense.
You don't stay still for sure. Well, thank you.
So here I am today,
Yeah.
just looking at it, saying, "Okay, how do I?" And I had people say to me, "Sean, I just listening to you sometimes exhausts me." And I said, "Well, but I'm a big believer, though, Gino. I'm a big believer that we find the time and the resources
Yes,
to do the things we're passionate about.
absolutely.
We all do that. I mean, it's something that we do.
Right. Time is, people it's a limitation potentially in the mind, but if you really want it, you have the intention, you can do it. You're showing it, right? Like you're living, I don't want to say parallel lives, but parallel careers, right? Like different things that you've done, not maybe all at the same time every day, but maybe, right? But you're moving it forward and,
But I would tell you, they all make me who I am today.
yes.
All those different things, those experiences. I remember one time I was asked to give a presentation to a young Catholic professionals group.
Mm.
And I said to them, and they were, had careers and everything else. I said, look, the same person you are sitting in the pew, or in my case, sitting on the altar, is the same person you're going to see in the boardroom. There's not like, I silo myself and I'm this gregarious, compassionate deacon. And then when I'm at the office, I'm a real son of a gun. You can't operate. I at least I can't operate like that.
Right.
It's not authentic. It's not who I am.
Exhausting for sure for people who try to pretend with it or not. But thank you. So congratulations, Sean, for all your success and all the accomplishments and the impact that you're making in people's lives. I can tell. And we'll dive right in here pretty soon. But one of the starting questions I ask my guest is, what does being a kind leader mean to you?
So, I think being a kind leader is a leader that places themselves. So I have to use my own example. So I employ lots of people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the military, I worked with a lot of people. I wasn't a leader of systems, tools, and so forth. These are people
Yep.
who have lives, who have families, who have legacies of their own. We're all people. At the end of the day, when we cast everything aside, our roles, our titles, what kind of car we drive, how big our house is, we are all people. And I think if you approach your role as a leader that way first, and you use that as a guiding principle, it serves you well. And it is a leader that there's the word empathy, which I think sometimes, people, empathy,
Right,
in
right,
today's world, you're not supposed to have empathy for some reason. Or at least some people think that.
right,
I look back at all the leaders that I wanted to mimic, that I have great respect for, and they all had empathy.
right.
It didn't mean they were like pushovers. They were not pushovers. Let me tell you, some of these guys, some of these people were not pushovers,
Hmm.
but they treated me as a human being. They treated me with respect and dignity.
Yeah,
And I think that is sorely lacking in a lot of cases today, is treating each other with respect and dignity. We all should be treating each other with respect and dignity. We can disagree and everything else, that's fine. As a leader, you have a mission, you have an objective, okay? Whether it's in the military, you have a mission. In industry, maybe if you're a for-profit, you're trying to turn profit because you have to keep your shareholders, you got to keep them happy,
right,
and your financial partners too.
right,
That's really important to keep them happy. And then also even in the church. But treating people with respect and dignity, that's the first level. That's where you start at,
right.
and you build from there. Sometimes I've had to make really tough decisions. I've had to let people who were my personal friends, I've had to let them go,
Right. Yep.
and that was really tough. Okay. But I'm still friends with these people,
Yeah.
still friends with them.
Because you did what I'm sure you did it with compassion, right? You connected, and you provided some of the reasons, and it wasn't just like, get out type of thing, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because these people have families, they have kids,
yeah,
they have lives that they're living,
right,
So you have to be respectful of that.
right. So to summarize, so a kind leader from your perspective is someone that connects at the human level, that treats people as humans, right? Not just as another piece to the puzzle to move forward, right? It's like really engaging and connecting and being compassionate. You use that word, as well as making sure you understand. Like, if you can understand what the not necessarily empathy, but there's empathy, but there's also understanding where these individuals are coming from. Maybe
Right, right.
the background, where they want to go, and then help them align to the goals or things that you want to get, collectively.
Yeah. You have to have a genuine interest in the individual.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things I share with our associates in our stores. I would say, every person that walks in that door, you're solving something for them.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we think of UPS store, we think, oh, you just come in, drop off your Amazon, off you go. But you're solving a problem for them.
Yeah.
They have something that needs to go back to, wherever it's going, so they can get their refund or whatever. Okay. And I find that my stores that seem to be the most successful are the ones that have managers that have a genuine relationship with the guest that walk through that door.
Hmm.
And I always tell people, you can connect with every person that walks in that door. Person is bringing a package. Where are you shipping it to? Oh, I'm shipping it to New York. Oh, New York. Whereabouts? Oh, Queens. Oh, I've got family in Queens. Oh, you do too. Before you know it, you've made a connection.
Oh, yeah.
And you're operating at a parallel level, not, give me your box and get the heck out of here type of thing.
Absolutely. I recently came across this quote, and I love it, and I use it a lot, is people remember how you make them feel, not what you say or do. So you're making them feel special. You're making them feel appreciated, connected. Like, oh man, these guys are top notch, right? They treated me with respect, with appreciation. They helped me all around, right? With a big smile on their faces, and not like, I don't want to be here. Next.
I mean, one of my favorite books, and we give this to our store managers, I'm probably due to buy some more copies because we've had some new store managers, is a book. It was put out by the Disney Institute. I've gone through a couple of their courses, and it's called Be Our Guest, Perfecting the Art of Customer Service. And it's a very easy read, okay? But they talk about this engagement, this idea of being, courteous, and efficient, and all these things that we talk about and business books talk about. But I think there's no perfect organization in the world. We all know that,
Right.
okay? But Disney does a pretty good job when you go into their parks and the cast members they're happy and they're serving you and so forth. Granted, yes, people will have a bad experience for one reason or
Of course.
another.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We get that. Okay. Their studies show that for every negative experience that a person has, that will impact 100 people's decision whether to go
Oh, wow.
to their park or not.
Wow.
For every one bad, so you think about it's,
Yeah, yeah.
and so I think they just do a phenomenal job as best as they can, put it that
Yeah.
way.
I'm curious, bringing that be our guest, and I've always been appreciative of what they've done and in customer service, customer experience or user experience, right? Would you say you can correlate that or you can bring that into other industries? I know from a retail perspective, you could definitely make sense. But what about on the government contracting or even
Mhm.
in the church, right? Like how would you go about doing that, or have you done that already?
It's interesting you say that because I actually wrote an article that I disseminated. I went to their course and I read their books and everything else. And I actually wrote a little 2-pager that I handed out to our team, years ago. And, I said, can we apply Disney's lessons to our work? And I feel like you set me up on this question because, because I had actually been looking at this recently. And I said, one, a guest versus a client. Okay. Words matter.
Yep.
When you refer to your customer, or like say in the services side,
Yeah.
let's take a look on the government services side of the house. Okay. When we refer to them as our client, that's a very formal transactional barrier, in my opinion. But if we were to say, hey, they're our guest, okay, that changes things. Words matter because when you have a guest to your home, that's somebody you're welcoming them, okay, and you're treating them with extra care.
Yeah.
Something else that there's kind of these three things: service versus experience. There's probably stuff that we do that somebody else could do.
Right.
But if we give them an experience of working with us, when we give them an experience, it's much different.
Yes.
So let me share this with you. We had one of our managers at one of our stores. He recently departed and he was with us 5 years. Great guy. The guests loved him. And when his last day was last week, people were coming into the stores. They said, I don't really have anything to do today. I just wanted to say goodbye.
Yeah.
They made that extra effort. And then I think the third point I would make is there's this thing called the hidden Mickey.
Yeah.
If you stay at one of their hotels, okay,
Yep.
and you go in your room and there's wallpaper, there might be a very small silhouette of Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
Okay. It's something special and you look for it. And the question becomes, where in our engaging with our guest, with those who pay our bills,
Yeah.
where's that hidden Mickey for us?
Right. Absolutely.
Didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No. That's beautiful because it goes back to what we're saying, right? Like people remember how they feel, you make them feel, right? And this is exactly right? It's like experience. This experience as a consultant, to your point, like bringing it back to government contracting for the listeners out there, is like from a kind leadership perspective, not anybody can deliver services, right? Like technology, innovation, that kind of stuff. But you marry that with how you connect and collaborate, as well as make them feel like they're not necessarily special, but you're working together to bring that value to them, and that experience is top notch. They'll remember and they'll tell their friends.
They remember. People remember that. We remember that.
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's great. I'll definitely, maybe that's the book that you'll recommend others, right? Be our guest when I ask you the question later. But
yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask is on the military side, your experience. And I was not aware that you were in the Navy, then Air National Guard, then you became active duty. What an amazing kind of a trajectory there. So I've always and I've asked this many times in the podcast. I was never in the military. So all I know is, I appreciate the service that's been provided. And then also there's hierarchy, right? Like military hierarchy, because lives are at stake. You got to follow the chain of command and all that stuff. But is there an opportunity, or from your experience, that empathy or kind leadership something that is available or being used in the military?
Absolutely. When I look back in my life and I started when we talked, to prepare, I kind of started jotting down some of the names of those people who I always think about, who kind of formed, I like to think, had a role in forming who I am today. Most of them were military leaders.
Wow.
I think of the captain of my ship, Captain Lunick. He was a kind man. He was a fair man. He was kind. And he treated you with respect, regardless of whether you were a brand new E2, coming into the Navy, or long seasoned senior chief. And he was one of those leaders that when you didn't live up to his expectation, you felt horrible because you felt like you let him down. And he didn't have to say anything. You just knew it yourself because he was such a good, decent man, a good, decent leader that you just felt like, man, I let him down.
Yeah.
And it really motivated you to work harder because you really wanted to do it for him.
Right.
I think of General Bruce Tuxel. He was the adjutant general of the Maryland National Guard. At one time, he was our wing commander, and he would go around the flight line and he would just engage everybody. And then, still thinking back when I was still enlisted and I was a weapons loader on the A-10, he would go around and shake your hands and talk to you, get to know you. Again, you really wanted to work hard for him. I think of Will Metz, who's a retired Rear Admiral, who actually serves on my board of advisors now. So full circle.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And he was an ensign. And I remember when he first came on board, he was our OIC. I thought, man, this guy is going places. He just had this presence about him.
Yeah.
And he retired as a Rear Admiral. So
it's awesome. Yeah. So good. So it's a great energy that that they, as leaders, right, they portrayed and have that. So there is that in the military, which is great.
Yeah, it's not just go and do this, and if you don't, drop and give me 25 push-ups type of stuff.
Right. We're all humans at the end of the day, right? I mean, we still got to navigate through personalities, emotions, and goals and dreams and that kind of stuff, right? Whether it's in the military or the commercial world, and even now as you're in your stores and the employees on the government contracting side as well, or even in the church, right? You still got to you're going full circle, connect with the people and understanding where they need to be and how can you help them. So kind of shifting a little bit in towards the religious side. I did not know that either. I'm learning something new every time I have a guest here. That was the first cathedral in the United States.
First Catholic cathedral in the United States. So you got to remember, Maryland was settled by the Calvert family for religious tolerance. So at one time was a very, very Catholic family, a very Catholic colony. And then after the Constitution was ratified, it gave us the right to worship freely. And so at that time, Baltimore was really a big hub because you had the seaport, you had the agriculture and industry from the north all kind of coming down. So it was, a lot of people don't know this, but Baltimore was like kind of the center of wealth in this country at one time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. I love going to Baltimore. A lot of good food and a lot of things to do there. But on the religious, how long have you been a deacon? And if you don't mind sharing your experience on that and your leadership as well.
Sure. So I was ordained in 2013. So that makes me a deacon now for 12 years. I am also a deacon that has, you'll hear the term permanent deacon, which means that because I'm married and I have a family, I will not become a priest or a bishop, obviously.
Yeah.
Many of the deacons in the Catholic Church were all ordained, so we all share the clerical state. Many have secular careers. There are many that actually work for the church full time, so that's where they get their living from. But we bring our experiences in the secular world to our ministry. So, for example, I've served on some boards and so forth in leadership roles, bringing kind of more of what I have gained in my secular career to, help resolve interest. Because it's a large organization. It's got churches and buildings and lots of people and all that kind of stuff. I've served on search committees for school principals. Yeah, so there's some of the things I've done. Like I said, served on some boards and so forth, and bring that into that. A very good friend of mine who I was ordained with, he actually serves as like the business operation, like the operations guy
Okay.
for a pretty large parish. Another friend of mine, he's down in Florida. He serves as the operations guy for a very, very large parish that includes a school and everything else. He's got, I mean, a huge responsibility, huge budget that he manages and so forth
Right,
too.
right,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what, I grew up Catholic. I was born and raised Catholic. I was born in Peru. Family's Catholic. I don't practice it anymore. I got married. My wife is a Methodist. So we got married in the Methodist church. And,
My grandfather was a Methodist.
okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I wasn't sure, like, because when you think,
In a lot of the Protestant faith traditions, a deacon is typically a lay person that is kind of elevated into some type of like church leadership role
yeah,
or some type of seniority role.
right.
Whereas in our tradition and in like the Anglican tradition as well, and some of the others, the deacon is actually an ordained, so I baptize,
Oh,
I witness weddings, marriages. It's great now. I'm actually baptizing a lot of the children whose parents I did their wedding.
oh, wow.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's one of the fruits, the graces that come with being a deacon is to be able to do that. So we have a ministry role too. So during Mass on Sundays, we proclaim the gospel
Okay.
and we preach. I preach sometimes.
Mhm.
I think I kid around with people. I say that's the best 8 minutes of sleep you'll get all week is when I preach, So if you haven't been sleeping, come on down
Oh,
and
man. Or not,
I'll
but yeah.
put you to sleep for at least 8 minutes, put it that way.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we have a pretty diverse role that we play in the church. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just amazed and admiring all your diversity, right? And everything that you've done, right? And your leadership, like you said, I really like that what you said. You're the same person and you lead the same way wherever you are. You don't change, you don't shift. So that's definitely quite the excitement. But so one of the things that we do is to flip the mic. Is there a particular question that you want to know about me?
So a question I have is, as you're leading this podcast, is there kind of a steady theme that you're starting to see from the people that you've brought onto your podcast? Is
Yeah,
there like a theme that you
absolutely. Yeah, and that was the hope when I first started this podcast is like, who do we bring? What are the guests? I initially started with people that I knew, government contractor and folks, and then my network. And then people started reaching out to me, like coaches or leadership coaches or other entrepreneurs out there. And the theme is, yeah, obviously I forced the theme a little bit, obviously asking the
right,
question,
right.
what is kind leader from your perspective? But yes, and all they have this is similar in so many ways, leading with empathy, connecting, trust, love, building great things and empowering your folks, right? There's all about the people. At the end of the day, it's all about the people and how we make the people feel is what makes an impact at the end of the day. Because we forget, at least a lot of people, we're in the grind. We got to meet deadlines. We got to meet deliverables. We got to hit the profit numbers. We got to hit, the mission, keep people safe, all those different things. And it's easy to get lost in the shuffle and all stuff and not forget, take a step back. And first of all, appreciate that you're here, you're alive, first of all, right? And then two, connect with the people around you and not just people at work, but at home, right? Even at home, sometimes people forget, we're at work 8, 10, 12 hours sometimes and come home, do a little things, go to sleep, do it again, right? But it's the intention, Sean, that I ask and I hear from folks, right? What is your intention and how do you want to live your life? What you just said, my intentions was to do all those different things and I made time for them. So if you have the right intention and the right mindset and the drive and passion, you can do anything.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for asking the question for sure. So a few rapid fire questions here. We talked about the one book every leader should read. Would you recommend that be our guest or is there another book that you would like to recommend our audience here?
Well, I would certainly recommend that book.
Okay.
I think it's a great book. And it's an easy read too, and you can get it off of Amazon. Pretty easy book.
Good. What's one favorite quote or mantra?
John the 23rd, who's a pope, he's now a saint. he said, and I don't know all the context and everything else, but
Right.
essentially he said, in essentials, unity, in non-essentials, diversity, but in all things, charity.
Ooh.
And I love that quote. I absolutely love that quote because it really reminds us that, look, there are sometimes we have to all be on the same sheet. Other times we don't have to be, but regardless, we should always be charitable.
Yes.
We should always be charitable to each other. I think that was true when he said it, whenever it was he said it, but it is certainly true today.
Absolutely.
In fact, I had people always have their signature block and they have like a little
Yeah.
phrase. That quote has been on mine longer than any other quote.
That is awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I like that. If you could have coffee with anyone, past or present, who would it be and why?
Well, I'm going to pick two people, and as soon as I pick them, you're going to know why. Okay.
Okay.
I would love to have coffee with Gene Kranz and Jim Lovell.
Okay.
Okay. Because as you know that, the Apollo 13 mission, how they work together, I would just love to have coffee with those two guys.
Oh, man.
I'm kind of a wannabe space geek.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that just would be absolutely fascinating to sit there and have coffee with those two guys.
That would be great. Yeah. Great insight for sure. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Sean. Well, where can our listeners connect with you? Sure, LinkedIn, or is there a particular email you want them?
I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and then we can take it from there. So
Awesome.
look me up on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. So
beautiful. What's a final message you would like to leave with our audience here?
I'll go back to the quote from John the 23rd.
Okay.
In all things charity.
All things charity. I love it. I feel like from a charity perspective, there's a lot of people that need support, need things. And if you can and charity not necessarily means monetary, right? It's also time and support and being there and providing and changing. And again, it goes back to experience, right? If you can give those folks that need something or are going through something, that experience that everything is going to be okay. The storm will pass or the things will go through, right? But you're there giving them the love, the support. I think it's such an impactful thing to do. And that can be done in any scenario, outside, even at home or even in the business. So I love that quote. Definitely, I feel passionate about that as well. So Sean, thank you very much for sharing your journey. What an amazing, career, multiple things, the military, church, businesses, and government, and UPS. So very, very admirable. And, and I feel like you still got more, right? More to give out there to the world. So thank you for being part of the show.
Absolutely, my pleasure. It's always good to see you, Gino. You're a good guy. You're providing good service to the community. So
thank you very much. And for our audience, thank you for listening to the Kind Leader Podcast. And remember, be kind, bring value, rise together. Have an amazing day, everybody.